Ratan Tata, a man who was the living embodiment of integrity and wisdom, a man whose life is full of lessons and meaningful decisions, a man whose true wealth cannot be measured by any amount of money in this world, but the standards by which he lived, a man of purpose and vision, and definitely a man who made a difference. Today, the world remembers Ratan Tata not just as an industrialist, but as a symbol of ethical leadership. Ratan Tata was not a mere leader. He was and he still remains the lighthouse of ethical leadership. The purpose of me making this video is twofold basically. One is paying tribute to the legend Ratan Tata. And the next one is, which comes from a feeling that the real form of tribute that you can pay to a person is basically by learning from him. So we can learn about the ethical leadership that Ratan Tata had. For this, I have chalked out 7 qualities that a civil servant or civil services aspirant must learn from Ratan Tata. After you are aspiring to be a leader, or maybe you are already a leader if you have cracked the examination. Either ways, without being ethical, you can't realize the true meaning of leadership. And who better to learn from about ethical leadership than the beacon of ethical leadership itself, who is Ratan Tata? So let's begin. The first value that we are going to learn is value-driven leadership. Be driven by a desire to make a difference, a desire to be ethical and fair, and then you will make a difference. Ratan Tata's words and actions have plenty of examples where his deep commitment to fairness could be seen. He always saw to it that he does what is right. Never was financial gain more important to him. He was guided by principles and not by monetary gains. He made it sure that everyone was treated with respect and dignity. He ensured to take care of those who were in his charge. Leadership cannot be called to be ethical unless it is value-driven. This one, value-driven leadership, is going to get you through the one of the most fundamental aims of civil service, which is serving public. Take fairness out of the equation and what do you become? You become a parasitic disease to the system. In his words, the cultural tone of the organization has to be set by the person at the top. His life, his integrity, his values are those he can impose on others if he follows them themselves. In order to be an ethical leader, you need to instill values within yourself first. So as future civil servants, what is your takeaway from this? Be 100% committed to fairness. Consciously do right. Remember that values are always much greater than the profit. Now, value-driven leadership is like the body of ethical leadership. Then comes the part which gives it the strength to stand up straight even in the face of adversity and complexities, which acts as a spine. Integrity. In his words, be a person of integrity and always do what is right, even when it is difficult. You know, a person stands on a rock solid ground if he has integrity. Tata's life exemplifies the same many times over. Integrity is that characteristic which saves you from doing anything wrong. The time one is not able to be integral, one's character starts getting rusted. It rots down the path. In 1990s, while launching Tata Motors, quite a few times bribe was demanded of Ratan Tata. But he never compromised and refused to pay the bribes. His stand was unfazed all throughout. A person has a myriad dilemmas. One ready to compromise can never get the true meaning out of leadership. The ship of character starts sinking right when one stops having integrity. You as future leader cannot let that happen, as fate of lakhs and crores rest in your hands. Now I think that fate has to be profoundly protected, and it can be done by integrity. Moving on, a spine without heart makes one rigid and careless. So we move on to the next one, which is empathy and compassion. Empathy and kindness are the greatest strengths a leader can possess. When 26/11 happened, Ratan Tata stood near Taj Hotel with an eye on what was happening and kept getting updates regarding the situation at Taj. That day, an unprecedented event happened. The hotel employees protected their customers without caring for their own lives. The employees were not told or guided to do that. They did it on their own. What they did was beyond great. This incident later became a case study at Harvard. This is just one example. There are innumerous when we talk about Ratan Tata. Like he would personally visit the employees who were unwell or going through a rough patch in their life. Or what happened at Taj Exotica in Maldives in 2004 when tsunami came. We must understand that genuine care instills trust and loyalty in employees. But it should not stop there at employees. But this is a great learning you can take home when you want to be the leaders via civil services. Be empathetic and compassionate about the people who work around you and under you. And even more importantly, be compassionate and empathetic towards the people you serve. They need it. And what we need a brain. A heart without a brain becomes erratic at times and not very sensible. So what we need is a brain, which is the next one which we move to, which is strategic thinking and decision making. I don't believe in leaving things to luck. I believe in hard work and preparation. The basis of strategic thinking and decision making lies in hard work and preparation. Ratan Tata was known for his calm and thoughtful decision making. Even in the most difficult situation, he remained focused on the long-term success. Ratan Tata took the reins of Tata Group in 1991. What happened in 1991? India was opening up. From that day to today, the phenomenal growth that Tata Group witnessed was due to Ratan Tata and his strategic thinking. We often say that Tata is another name of trust, isn't it? Don't we do that? Another example is when Tata acquired Jaguar and Land Rover. His strategic thinking transformed the whole group into a profitable venture, illustrating the power of clear and decisive leadership. When you get in the services, decision making is one of the most important thing, isn't it? You need to be strategic about those decisions. And if you ever need someone to look up to, you know whom to look up at. Who better than Ratan Tata could guide you in those times? Now, if we have understood this, we know now we have a body, we have a spine, we have a heart, and we have a brain. All we need now is putting it to some exercise. So, the next one is personal growth and adaptability. Success is not about being the best, but rather being the best version of yourself. Tata believed that there is no time too late to learn a thing. Learning helps one grow. Growth is always attached to becoming the better version of you till you are the best. We know as a fact, best is a journey which never completes. Yet the effort that it takes keeps taking us to the best possible version of what we can be in our lifetime. Today as well, most of you would sometimes have thought that I should have done that back then, that time. You wouldn't think if you were already doing that, isn't it? Today is the best time when you stop having any such remorse. Start growing. Be adaptable. Civil services is not a race where once if you are in, you are a winner. It doesn't happen that way. It is just the beginning of a journey much more complex and way more tedious. Rediscovering yourself at every moment when you face a truth, rechannelizing your energy in a progressive and positive manner at every juncture is what you can't do without. Your growth and adaptability are crucial in challenging times. True growth must be rooted in ethical understanding. For at least I believe that it can't be a real growth if it is not ethical. So if you've understood it, what do we need now? We need to have some clarity and stop ourselves from being carried away from certain ideas. We need to refrain ourselves from those thoughts which might cloud our judgment, and consequentially it also hampers your functioning. So we move on to the next one, which is being apolitical. Now this is very interesting. I have not quoted Ratan Tata. Other points I have quoted Ratan Tata. Why not in this point? Because that's the whole meaning of being apolitical. Technically you can call apolitical as neutrality. But I think apolitical, in my opinion, is a better word to address what is required in contemporary civil services at least. Understand this concept very carefully. Neutrality is not aligning yourself with any political ideology, party, or candidate while you are a civil servant, right? Ratan Tata stayed away from political affiliations, focusing instead on ethical leadership. He expressed views on important social and economic issues, but never publicly endorsed any political party or leader, maintaining his integrity as a business leader. He emphasized the importance of good governance, transparency, ethical leadership in public sector, but never suggested what you need to follow or who do you need to follow in order to attain all this. What I tell now might be surprising for you, especially if you are not a student of public administration, which is that neutrality is one of the core values that a civil servant must have. One must not be bothered about which or what political party is in power. A civil servant merely serves the government, thereby serving the public. If one is not neutral, first the thought process gets clouded, and then eventually the actions and functioning of civil servant gets biased and hampered. I'll make a separate video on that later. But for today, realize that you need to be neutral. You need to be apolitical. Anyway, with all that we have discussed up till now we are able to realize that we are around shaping, up till this point, we have shaped the body and some organs and some parts of the body of ethical leadership. Now, let's come to the next one, which is, think about it, even if we have all this, but we are not able to reach people, how do we help them? That's where accessibility comes in picture. What enhances ethical leadership is the seventh point, which is approachability. One day you will realize that material things mean nothing. All that matters is the well-being of people you love. It's always good to realize it today. Now I had to include this for one specific reason, the kind of state that contemporary administration is in. I do not know why today's civil servants, not all obviously, but way beyond my understanding, are focused more on their visible uprightness, their strictness towards the poor, doing what they got to do, and things like that, but not one finger pointed towards the one who are really doing wrong. Not understandable for me. I'll make a separate video on this too. But for now, what nonsense is this? You're working for the public, man, not against them. Don't be dumb to not see it. Today, in times of social media, the way you use it is able to accommodate both what you want to show and what is the reality. That's one of the beautiful parts of it. So remember, don't do that. Make yourself accessible. Make yourself approachable. Now, if you have watched up till here, you are genuinely interested in knowing more. So on that, I'll give you some bonus point from which you can learn, and obviously from Ratan Tata. Again, part of being ethical leaders. So the next one is emotional intelligence. Now that's a trait no civil servant who desires to walk the path of morality can avoid. If you are not emotionally intelligent, you will become reactionary and not responsive. And as a civil servant, you need to respond to the situations that arise and not react towards them. This quote reflects the emotional strength, what I am about to say, of Ratan Tata. The strongest thing I ever did was to show my emotions to the world. The next one is courage. Now, when he was near Taj during 26/11 attack, he decided to re-establish Taj Hotel better than how it was. Can you imagine what courage it takes to decide it then when a symbol of the nation is being attacked? That was Ratan Tata. You have to be courageous to be an ethical leader. As he said, never compromise on your values and principles, even if it is the hard way. It takes courage to do that. The next one is hope. In the times when values of civil servants witness a steep downfall, one cannot lose hope. I have hope in you to be ethical leaders. You shall have hope in yourself to become ethical before you become leaders. Hope, even in the face of adversity, can be a powerful force that can inspire and motivate others. In Ratan Tata's words, you may not always have a comfortable life and you may not always be able to solve all the world's problems. But don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. Sometimes I think, is it not amazing that how much can you learn from a person who is ethical? People like Ratan Tata. This is amazing. So let's have a quick recap of the values that we have already seen, which makes a part of ethical leadership. The first one was value-driven leadership, which was the body of ethical leadership. The next one was integrity, which was the spine. And then we spoke about empathy and compassion, which was basically like the heart. And then came strategic thinking and decision making, which acted like a brain, right? Then came your personal growth and adaptability, which is kind of exercise that everybody needs to do, right? And then after that came being apolitical, which gives you the clarity. And last but obviously not the least was approachability, which was the reach. Then we enriched our understanding broadly by adding 3 more qualities on top of that. The first one being emotional intelligence, the second one being courage, and the third one being hope. When you have come so far, let me share something very interesting with you. When I was researching on Ratan Tata for this particular video, I had to go through a lot of articles, speeches, case studies, what Ratan Tata has said and all, and a lot of other kind of material. And let me admit that to you, most of that gave me good goosebumps. My intent is not merely for you to use this in your answers, but to actually enrich your life and leadership by learning from the beacon of ethical leadership. Take a moment here, reflect on which of these qualities you need to develop. Comment below with your thoughts and let's inspire each other to become better. Tell me which one is the most important to you. It was lovely sharing this with you. When I started writing the script for this, I had a very heavy heart, but towards the end, I feel that together we have paid a very respectful tribute to the great Ratan Tata. See you soon. I am Abhimanyu Bisaria.